guys, and welcome to Mind Time. Today I want to talk about HiveOS and how to install it on a bootable flash drive. HiveOS is a operating system based off of Linux made to manage GPU mining systems. It's relatively simple and has a lot of versatility, which makes it great. I've seen more consistent results out of my GPU mining using this software than other ones, and it also offers so much control that there's not much more you could ask for. It's not entirely free. You either need to pay, I believe, $3 per month per device, or you can use HiveOS's pool, and then your subscription is free. There is a trial where you can use, I believe, up to 3 devices, maybe it's 4, without paying anything. But I just want to give a basic rundown of how to get going and using it and install it, so then you can get started with the basic functions of it. So first you got to go to HiveOS's website and create an account. When you create an account, it's going to ask you to create your first farm. Now this farm already has 3 miners on it. These are 3 that I already have running. For this example, I'm going to go ahead and add a 4th by hitting the plus sign at the top. And we're going to hit add worker. For the sake of this, I'm going to call it miner 105, and I'm just going to generate a password, but you could enter whatever password you want. We're going to go ahead and add that. Once you do, it's going to give you some different credentials that you're going to need for that miner. It's easiest, I believe, if you just hit download rig.config file, and this is going to create a file which already has all these credentials in it. We're going to come back to that later. On this page, there's also a link to the installation guide and a download for HiveOS. For the HiveOS, you can download the zip file, and inside that file is your image. I've already downloaded that, so I don't need to do it again. So once you've done this, you're going to go ahead and insert your USB drive into your PC. And if we go to my computer, we can see that there is not one currently installed. Oh, there we go. And so now we have this USB drive installed. So we need to use a flashing tool to flash our image file onto our USB stick. HiveOS offers one here. I tend to use Rufus for most of my flashing. If you come here and hit the download, we can go ahead and open up that software. All right. So now that we have that, we're going to select a device, which is going to be our flash drive. And then we're going to select a disk or ISO file. We're going to go ahead and grab that file that we downloaded, which is the image file. And then we're going to go ahead and start flashing. It's going to provide a warning saying that all information on that disk will be destroyed. Perfect. So this is going to go and flash that entire image over to that flash drive, and this will take a little bit of time to do. So now let's go back to our dashboard, and let's take a look at some of the other things while we're getting this set up. So I'm going to go back to the beginning and then into the farm and then to miner 105 again. Now in the miner, there's a lot of different settings. One of the most important ones is going to be your flight sheet. A flight sheet is basically what miner is it using, and what are you mining, and what are some of the settings for it. Before you do this, you're going to have to go and set up your wallet in order to receive your mining, which is going to be under this tab here. So going back to that miner and going to flight sheets, I already have one set up here, but you can add one by going to your flight sheet page and creating a new one. So here we can select what coin we want to mine, what wallet we want to use after we've set that up, and then which pool. If you use the HiveOS pool, then your subscription's free. So pick the location that's closest to you. And then what miner you want to use. Right now for Ether or Ethereum, most people are using Phoenix Miner. As GPU mining changes over the next little while, this may change, and whether you're mining Ethereum or not, you know, that could all change with the Ethereum 2.0. But and then you're going to give your flight sheet a name. And then we can create that flight sheet. Perfect. Now if we go back to our Miner 105, we can go to flight sheets, and we can assign it a flight sheet by hitting this little icon next to it, or this one up here. So if we hit this one up here and we find test flight sheet and we apply it, then now that flight sheet is running on this miner. Under the overclocking tab, you can find your options to overclock. You can create a new overclock or edit the default one. Under here, a great option is popular presets. You can select which coin you want to mine. And then also you can select the GPU you have. And then there's some different options for pre-made presets in here, which is great. There's also many other options, tuning for each different miner that you're using. The stats of that machine, which currently there's not much information on that. The activity over time and additional settings. While we're still waiting for Rufus to finish installing the ISO image, let's go and let's look at some of the other miners that I'm using just to go over some of the features. So on the miner, or actually let's go back to the farm page, you can see a quick overview of your electrical usage and your hash rate, as well as how many GPUs you're using and how many are online. If you click on it, you can see down to each miner. These green boxes represent each GPU, which you can hover over to get additional information about, as well as the hash rate of the machine overall. If you click on that, you can see additional information about each device inside the machine, the hash rate of each device, temperatures, fan usage, power usage, etc. As well as a lot of information about the machine itself. You can take a look at your flight sheets, your overclocking, your tuning stats, things that we looked at before. Now let's get to the stats of this machine, because this machine has been running. So currently we're set to 1 day, and we can see the stats. Here's the temperatures of the machine, the shares, the fan, the power usage, the hash rates. And one thing I've really liked about HiveOS is that things have been very consistent. These temperatures have been consistent. The fan speeds, the power usage. You know, everything has been pretty steady, where in some other softwares I've used, they've gone up and down, and that's not necessarily ideal. It's just harder to manage and understand what's going on at that point. So we're still waiting on Rufus. So let's do a little exploration while we wait. I'm not exactly an expert on this operating system, but we can go ahead and poke around. So power actions, we can reboot, shut down and reboot in 30 seconds our machine. This is just location of our HiveOS mirror. We can configure a VPN. We can run commands remotely, which is great. And actually, I think I see one. Oops. So this is actually an interesting command here, GPU fan find. And so if you have a machine with lots of GPUs in it and one of them isn't operating properly and you want to identify which one that is, you can use that command to change the fan speed of that particular GPU. So then you can physically look inside your rig and see which fans are spinning and which aren't. One will be significantly different, and that's the one you're looking for. You can select flight sheets for that miner. You can configure your LAN setup. And under that, you can create a static IP or DHCP. DHCP basically means your router is going to decide what the IP address of that machine is. Tags are probably less important. Remote access, so you can use shell, VNC, these sorts of things to access that machine, which is really convenient. You can also check out some different logs and things. So the watchdog is something that is going to be able to see if your machine is operating properly and then could do different things depending. So you can set these settings so that, you know, if something isn't right according to your settings, then the machine will reboot. You can also control your critical temperatures. Some additional settings. This is to remove this mine. Refresh is just how often this page is going to refresh altogether. So, Rufus is almost done. While we're waiting on that, let's go ahead and let's look at the install. And let's see here. So let's go to the install guide and just take a look while we're waiting for that to wrap up. So you create your account, add your workers, and then you're gonna, as you add your workers, you're gonna select GPU for this situation, download the image, and write the image to a disk. Perfect. Our Rufus is finished. And then after that, you're going to have to do a few settings, which are actually quite simple. So now that that's done, we can see that Rufus is finished. We're going to go to the computer and then to that USB drive. Now under here, there's a copy of the rig config, which is your config file, and you would have to change the name and make a copy and change what's in it. But for us to make this a little bit easier, we're going to go download, and the rig.config file we downloaded earlier, which actually already has our settings in it, has the rig ID, the rig password, the worker name. We're going to copy that file. We're going to go back to Hive. We're just going to paste it in here. At this point, you can remove your USB device and plug it into your worker. You're going to want to make sure that the worker boots from that USB device. So you may have to go into the BIOS and change settings, and you're going to want to remove any additional OSs, or at least set the priority of the USB drive ahead of those in the BIOS. Once it boots, there's really nothing you have to do. It'll automatically start. There is some display to the screen, so then you can check to make sure things are going properly, but there's not much you can do from there. So once you're done with that, then you come back to your board, and under this screen, you should see that your miner that you created is going to change from this default offline to something more of this nature where it's displaying statistics. It may take a few minutes to do. If you have any issues, I would suggest looking at the display of your miner and seeing if any errors are popping up on the screen. For example, if there's any networking issues or anything, you're not going to be able to see that from this end because your miner can't communicate with the dashboard to let it know. I would also highly suggest, at least when you first set this up, using a wired connection, because the issue with wireless is that sometimes HiveOS doesn't have all the drivers for all of the Wi-Fi devices, and it may not work properly, and you could get those drivers installed, but I find it easiest to just start with a wired connection and then go from there. Anyways, this has been Mine Time. Thanks, guys. Hope to see you next time. Good luck with everything. Leave your questions down in the comments, and I'll do my best to help you out. Thanks.